Hello and welcome to Clay Creators. Today's model is our Key Stage 1 version of the monkey, and I'm hoping that we'll get something that looks like this towards the end. For the build itself, we're going to need our measuring spoons, our creator cards and tools, our pots of clay, and if possible an airtight container to help keep the clay fresh during the build itself. Before we get started, I'm going to go over the key facts of the monkey. Please listen up, please take something on board, just in case there's a little quiz from mum and dad later on if they download our activity sheets. So the facts themselves. Fact number 1, there are currently 264 different species of monkey that we're aware of, okay, which means that there are basically 264 different types of monkey that we know about. Fact number 2, apes like King Kong, so King Kong from the films that you may have watched, aren't classed as monkeys. Fact number 3, some monkeys live on the ground, some monkeys live in trees. These are the main places that they will live. So depending on those species of monkeys is where depends on where they live. So some, like I say, some will live in the trees, some will have their homes on the floor. Fact number 4, there are 3 different main types of names given to groups of monkeys, okay? So depending on the species of monkey, they'll get a different name. Now these names are either tribe, troop, or a mission of monkeys. Fact number 5, now a species of monkey is called the spider monkey, and they get their name because they've got really long arms, really long legs, and really long tails. They're called spider monkeys. And finally, fact number 6, depending on the species, so different species of monkey will eat different things, but they have a big, wide, vast variety of foods that they will eat. Things like fruit, insects, flowers, leaves, and some species will also eat reptiles. We're going to start by mixing our brown. We're going to need yellow, red, and blue. We're going to use our measuring spoons, and we've got a couple of different measurements for each colour. So we'll start off with the yellow, and we're going to fill up our number 5 spoon twice and our number 2 spoon as well. Okay, so let's get started. Remember, when you're measuring with your spoons, you need a nice level measurement across the top of the spoon, which I will show you shortly. Take it all off. So yeah, we don't want to be hanging over the top of the spoon too much, so we're looking kind of a nice level measurement. So we need to do that twice with the yellow into our number 5 spoon. And finally a number 2. And once you've got that measured out, put the rest of the clay away in the pot, keep it nice and fresh for later on, lid on. Okay, moving on to the blue clay, and the blue clay is going to be measured out with a number 2 spoon and a number 1 spoon. Same again, nice and level measurements. Number 2 and a number 1. Okay. And blue clay away, and finally the red clay. The red clay is going to be measured at a number 3 spoon and then a measurement off the creator card that we'll get to in a moment. So fill up your number 3 spoon first. Okay. And like I said, finally we move on to our creator card. And we're going to be using the 2 centimeter circle measurement. Okay, so we use this by measuring a ball. We don't squash it down flat. A little ball needs to sit inside the circle, and you still need to be able to see around the outside. So I've got a little bit too much. I can still see the circle around the outside of my ball measurement, so I'm happy with that. Lid back on again, clay it away, and now I've got my 3 colours all measured out. Put them together, give them a good mix, and we should get a nice brown. And this brown's obviously going to be used for most of the build. We've got his head, his ears, body, arms, and a little bit for the base. Give it a good mix, get rid of all those colours. We should get a nice solid brown. Okay. Now we're going to save some of this, we're going to use some of this, we're going to keep using our air dry case to keep the other bits dry, fresh, sorry. So the first measurement we're going to do is head and body, and then we're going to stick those together and we'll gradually work our way down, okay? So we'll start with the body first actually. We'll need our spoons again, and we're going to use a number 5 spoon and a number 3 spoon. So using this brown clay, so I've got number 5 and 3. Put them together, and now I know that's my body. I'm going to do the head as well, keep that to the side. This time it's going to be a number 4 and a number 3. 4. And 3. I'm going to put the rest of the clay away in an air dry container right now. We'll keep that fresh for later on. We're just going to shape these before we get onto anything else. Okay, so we'll start with the body. Now the body can be a little bit of a different shape depending on what you want. I'm going to give you an example of how we would normally do it. If you want to change it slightly, it's obviously fine. But I'm going to start off, give it a good stretch, get all the lumps and lines out, and I'm going to roll it into a nice smooth ball. Now I'm going to use my hands. You do what you think you might get the best results from. You might want to roll it in your hands, you might want to work it on your workstation. However you're going to get the best smooth round ball, okay? So I'm nice and ready to go. What we're going to do this, like I said, we're going to just turn it into kind of a Kinder Egg kind of shape. And all we're going to do with that, we're going to start off with the ball, and we're going to give it a gentle roll. Not too much, just a gentle roll, nice and even pressure, not going too hard. If you get a little line in there from your hand, just keep going again, gentle. Again, if you get too much, roll it into a ball, start again. So we're looking for something like this. It is roughly measuring, and again, it doesn't have to be. You may want a taller body on the monkey, it's up to you. I am at 3.5 centimeters. I'm going to touch more, closer to 4. And all I'm going to do then is stand it on my workstation, give it a little roll around, and it should give me a flatter bottom. It should be able to stand upright like that basically. Okay, just move that to the side, but let it dry on its side. So I'm going to just press it down slightly, and it will give it a little bit of a flatter back and front. Okay, moving on to the head, we're going to do the same again, get it into that starting shape, give it a stretch, give it a roll, and get it into a nice smooth ball. Okay, now we're not going to do too much with this. All we're going to do is give it a gentle push down, just very slightly, which will give it kind of a little bit of a flatter front and flatter back, because obviously the workstation that it's on. And then all we're going to do, I'm going to stick this together with the head. So I had that side sitting down, I've turned it up, and I'm just going to stick them together. Just a gentle press together, nothing too much. Oops. Okay. Again, we're going to just put them back onto your workstation. Give it a little gentle press down so it's starting to get that flat back. It just helps with the drying process later on. Now the next step we're going to do is get the ears on him before we mix the next colour. Okay, so we're going to go back to your airtight container and get the rest of the brown clay out. Now the ears are only small. Okay, the ears are going to be off your creator cardigan, and this time we're going to go to the 1 centimeter circle. Obviously he's got 2 ears, so you need 2 1 centimeter balls. A bit too big. Remember, you need to be able to see the outline of that measurement card, the circle, when you've got that ball in there. Okay, rest of the clay away in that airtight container again. And we're just going to shape his ears before anything else. Okay, so he's still drying. Ears need to be back into a nice smooth round ball again. Okay, And all we're going to do with these ones, we're going to flatten them out slightly, make them into flat circles, okay? So again, starting with your balls, and you're going to just gently press down, not too much. Same with them both. Now you can make them as flat as you want, you can make them a different shape if you want. I'm just pressing down to get a little disc, about that sort of thickness, in a nice round circle, so you should have two. Okay. And all we're going to do is put them on the side of his head. So the side that's sticking up at the moment is going to be his back. The other side is going to be his front. Okay, so I've turned him around. I've kind of got a flatter front now, which it will make sense later on. It's going to help get his face on in the right place and things. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to put his ears on the side of his head with a gentle push against. Just gentle. So now you are going to be technically looking at the front of him, but I will dry him lying on his face. Okay, so we've done that, and I'm going to now put him into the airtight container. Try and make sure he doesn't touch the rest of that brown clay that we've got. And again, if you could get him to dry on his face. We'll do that. Lid on, and now we're going to mix the other colour, which is kind of a tan beigey kind of colour, which we'll use on his hands and his nose, snout area. Okay, the colours we're going to need are white, yellow, blue and red. Okay, the main colour being white, and we're going to measure using our creator card again. We are going to go back to measuring, excuse me, sorry, a number 2 centimetre measurement this time, so a bigger white ball. I'll stretch my whites a bit. Needs freshening up. So a little bit too big still. Now this is going to be a few smaller measurements because we don't need a lot of this colour. Okay, so white's done. We're going to move on to yellow. And the yellow is going to be a number 1 spoon. So back to your spoons. Okay, nice and level again. Yellow away. And then we're going onto our blue and red. Blue, again, we're going back to our measuring card, and we're going to only be doing very small measurements here with the red and the blue. Okay, so the blue is going to be a 0.5, so the smallest measurement on your card. So it's a tiny, tiny pinch. Again, I know it's very tricky and very fiddly, the size that we're doing here. So if you can get it as small as possible to fit inside that 0.5. Now what we're going to do with the red, sorry, is we're going to measure using the 0.5 again, but this time we're going to do 2 balls. So you should basically have 2 of these blue ones out of red clay. So 2 tiny ones. Now I know you might think that means it's just a 1 centimetre. So if I do 2 0.5s, it'll be the 1. Unfortunately, it's not quite as easy as that. It doesn't quite measure out the same. So you do need to do the 2 0.5s. Fantastic. So you should really have, I'm going to clay away again, you should really have 5 little measurements there ready to be mixed together. Okay, so get them all together, give them a good mix, and you should end up with your beigey tan kind of colour. Like so, we're going to use this for a few different parts, but again, we're going to store into our airtight container at times whilst we're doing them build. So all mixed together, you should end up with that kind of thing. Okay, we're going to start off by using a little of this for his mouth area. This area will obviously be able to put a smile in there if you want. If you want to make him kind of do a monkey, ooh, 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 you can do that. It's your choice on what sort of mouth you want to do. We'll also put a little nose on there as well. Well, nostrils, should we say. So the measurement we're going to start off with, like I say, for that mouth snout area, we're going to use our spoons again, and we're going to fill up a number 1 spoon. Now, this time with this number 1 fill, it would be better to be a little bit less. So if it's a smaller number 1, and what I mean by that is if you aren't quite at the rim, it's fine. It's better to be under than over the top on this one. So it's better to have a little less clay. I'm going to start with a roll again. If we can put the rest of your beige or tan into your kit out the way, try not to let it touch anything else in there. Put that away. Okay. Back to our starting position, so give this a little stretch out again, give it a roll, get it back into a smooth ball. And all we're going to do with this is very gently roll it. And all we're going to do is just roll it very slightly, turn it into more of a egg sort of shape, and then give it a little tiny press down. Now we're not looking for a massive change, we're just changing it from being a ball into more of a, it's hard to say really, it's more of a rectangular kind of shape, but so only gently press down. Okay, now what we're going to do, we're going to put that onto the monkey's face now, and then we'll put the smile in and the nose, because once you press down on it, sometimes it closes the mouth. So if we put it on in the right place, then draw the mouth on. So hopefully you've got an idea of what sort of mouth you are going to go with. So again, I've taken him out, he should be drying on his face, so I'm going to lift him up. You might need to stretch his ears back. So on the flatter bit of the front now, so you should have a flat front, I'm going to take my mouth and I'm just going to put it on. Gently give it a little press against, so you should have. And then all we're going to do is put a little smile on, or a little whatever you want, and a couple of little nostrils at the very top. Nostrils are just a little pinch in with my tool, and I'm going to give him a little smile. So I should have. Okay, we're going to put him back into the airtight container. Now this time you don't want him to dry on his front, so this time put him on his back, his face facing up now, and we're just going to do his eyes before we move on to anything else. Now his eyes can be as big as you want, as little as you want. I'm going to give you a guide, and we're going to do white and then a touch of black on the top. So I'm going to take my white, and the measurement I'm going to use is that 0.5 measurement on your creator card again, and I'm just using that as a guide because I'm going to actually make it even smaller than the 0.5. So I'm starting with the 0.5, but I'm actually going to cut that in half. So I'm going to use my tool. You might want to snap it, it's up to you. I'm going to use my tool, and I'm just literally going to cut that in half to give me my 2 eyes. Okay, so I should have 2 tiny little white balls. And all I'm going to do then is give it a little gentle press down. Not too much, I don't want them to be too flat, but I want to flatten them down a little. So I've pressed them down, and all I'm going to do now is add a tiny, tiny pinch of black clay for his pupils, okay? So it's got to be smaller than what we've done here already. So I'm going to take a tiny, tiny pinch, probably within the 0.5, but smaller. So all I'm going to do, gets a little bit fiddly, but it's okay. If you need help, obviously ask mum or dad or whoever's there helping guiding you today. I'm going to cut that in half. Then one of those halves, I'm going to cut in half again. And then I'm going to do that one more time. So now I've got two small black balls that should be roughly the same size. Okay, all I'm going to do then is put them on top of my white. Now you could put that in the middle of the white, you could put it to the bottom in the corner if you want him kind of looking one way. It's up to you. Should look something like this. And all I'm going to do then, put them onto the monkey. It's going to be obviously just above the nose. And when you press them down a little bit, it'll probably stretch and make them a little bit bigger. Nice and gentle. Okay, so it should look something like this at the moment. Fantastic. Okay, I'm going to put him back into the airtight container. Now, we're just going to work our way down the body a little bit now. We're going to do his tail and base. Oh, might need the brown. So we need the dark brown clay. Oops, to come down now. I'm going to do two measurements, like I say, tail and one part of the base. There's two parts of the base. So for the tail, we are going to measure this out using our creator card again. And we're going to use the 2 centimeter circle this time. So snap a little off. Fantastic. And what like I say, we're going to do that first part of the base. So we need a number 2 spoon. Try and keep these two measurements separate. We're going to do the tail first, and then we'll sort the base, but we'll measure them at the same time. Okay. Rest of the brown clay away in the airtight container. And like I said, we're going to do the tail first. Now the tail is kind of a little bit up to yourself. If you want to make it short and stubby, it's fine. If you want to make it a long, thin tail, your choice. Start off back to our starting position. So give it a little stretch, get it back into a nice smooth ball. Now you're going to roll this out, like I said, into a sausage. Now we normally use our ruler on the side and get roughly around about 8 centimeters. Okay, but like I say, it's up to you. If you want to make things a little bit different, this is the time to do so. So I'm going to just roll it out nice and gentle. Even pressure all the way along, trying to keep it even all the way. And what we do with the tail, we kind of give it a little curve, a little curl round on itself. But again, if you don't want to do that, you don't have to. Like I say, it's your tail to kind of design as you wish. So I've made that a little bit longer today. I've gone to 10 centimeters today, okay? Which I think will give it a nice curl on the way around. So I'm just going to leave that onto the side for a second. Onto the other measurement, we're going to do the base. So we're going to just stretch this out again, give it a roll, get rid of those lines. Now this one is dead simple. All we're going to do is give it a gentle press down from the ball. So press down onto your workstation, work surface. Now it doesn't have to be a perfect circle. It could be a circle if you want. You could make it a little bit more of an oval shape. We're looking for a little base about that sort of depth. We're just going to leave that to the side for a second. What we'll do, the base will be you've got the main monkey, you've got the tail, and then the base. So if you look on the original model, the tail kind of sticks between the body and the base. So what we'll do, we'll put the tail on top of this base and then stick the main monkey on the top, okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to shape the tail first by rolling it round on itself. So you can do whatever design you want for the tail. So I've done just a gentle roll on itself, and then like I said, we're going to just pin that on by giving it a gentle press. against the base, and then we're going to sit the main monkey on the top. Remember that that tail is going to be at the back, and now you can curve it a little bit more and stick it onto him if you need to at the back. Give it a little press against. We'll now use the tan to do the bottom base. So if you can leave him outstanding briefly for this next step, get the tan clay from your kit. And this base is going to be another number 2 spoon, so give it a little freshen up. So it's going to be the same size as the base before. Again, tan clay away, keeping that fresh for a moment. Same process with this, like we did with the last base. Give it a little freshen, a little roll, and then just a little press down. Try and keep it the same sort of shape as you did for the last base. If it's not perfect, it's okay. And then just take it and sit him on the top. Gentle press down. We should be getting a nice even base. So we're just going to do his arms and then onto his little banana. If you can get him to stand upright in your airtight container now. We're going to do, let's say, his arms, so we're going to need dark brown clay. And I'm going to get him to stand up. Okay, so the arms are measured out. Again, we're going to need 2, obviously, for his arms. And we are going to use the number 1 spoon, and we're going to fill that up twice. So, number 1. And number 1. Now you will be left with some extra brown clay here, which is good for any extra build that you want to do, any free clay that you want to add to at the end. So I'm going to put that back into my airtight container, keep that nice and fresh for you, and at the same time get the last bit of the tan clay. Okay. So the arms, we're going to start off, as always, rolling them back into our starting shape and smooth ball, and then we're going to roll them out into little sausages. They only need to be rolled out to around about 2 centimeters on your measuring card. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be exact, just a little pressure. 2 to 3 centimeters will be fine. So use your ruler on your creator card just to double check. But as long as they're both the same size, you'll get the right effect you're looking for. So they're the same. All we're going to do is his hands are going to be 2 little balls that fit on the bottom there. Okay, so his hands, give it a little freshen up. We're going to then turn the card over and use your 1 centimeter measurement. So 2 little hands. Again, you'll probably be left with a tiny bit of the tan clay. So you can put that away into your airtight container. Just realised my little monkey's decided he's going to fall over. We don't want that. So at times when drying, you might need to pin them up, stand them up against something so they don't fall over. Okay, so onto those arms then. So the hands can be shaped if you want. You can put a little cut in there, you can make them into his little fingers, And then all you're going to do is stick them onto one end of the arm. Gentle push against. End up with this. We'll do that both. And then get them onto your monkey's body. So just add them onto the shoulders and bring them around. Now try not to stick them at the hand section, try not to let them touch the body just now, because if you're going to put a banana in his hand, you want to leave a little gap. So just put them on at the shoulders for the time being, give them a little press on, leaving his arms dangling free at the front. Okay, and we're going to quickly do his banana then, and then get that into his hand, and then it can all dry nicely. So the banana is going to be measured using our spoons again. So we just need the yellow clay, and you need to fill up your number 1 spoon. Now if it's a little bit, again, if it's a smaller number 1, it's again fine. Depends if you want to do a massive banana or a normal size banana. If you want to do kind of a joke comedy banana and do a massive one, it's your choice. And finally, lid back on again. Freshen that clay, get rid of those lines. You could put a little detail on your banana as well if you want. If you want to put some lines on there, maybe a little black top, it's your choice. All I do is from a ball, you might want to roll it into a little bit of a sausage, just a small one. And then all we're going to do is try and curve the ends slightly, turn it into a banana shape, which will be kind of arced, moon shape sort of thing. So just a little bit of shaping with your fingers. And then we just place it under his arms or where you want him to hold it. I'm going to get both hands to basically hold this. So I'm going to put it under one arm or in one hand and then press it against his body and just have the other one turn around, and so as you move the arms they will stick to the body slightly and it should all nicely knit together. A gentle push, gentle press, and you should end up with a finished monkey. Hopefully yours has turned out something like this, but again, if it's slightly different, it's not a problem. Everybody's is going to be slightly different. Okay, free play time. So a number 3 spoon of every colour is what we use normally for our free play. You can obviously mix and match that. If you want to just use a couple of colours, that's fine. We normally use the measurement of number 3 spoon 5 times. And like I say, then use your imagination, build alongside, maybe add to your monkey, basically just decorate him. If you are thinking it might be time to step up, maybe try key stage 2, we would then use our scales to measure out the amounts of clay. Like I say, it's a little bit trickier, but if you are thinking you are ready for that stage, head over to claycreators.com/shop to make an order of for our scales. It's the same place if you are running low on clay and you need some replacement parts. And please don't forget to download our activity sheets, word searches and crosswords. All again still found over at claycreators.com/shop. Thank you very much for joining us today, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.